Well, Gail Mancuso, Emmy winner Gail Mancuso. I think that precedes your name now when anybody says your name. Directing for Modern Family up again this year, but you were the big winner last year in this category.
Great.
Tell us about winning for the episode Arrested last year.
Oh my gosh, it was. I was flabbergasted. I was really shocked, and I know everybody says that, but when it happens, it's true. I mean, it's shocking. You know, I just remember Melissa Leo, who I love, you know, saying my name, and Steve Levitan was sitting behind me, and I heard him go, "Whoa!" And I get up, and I kind of knew where Julie Bowen was sitting, and I ran down the aisle, and I hugged her, and I went to hug Sophia, who I knew was sitting in front of her. But when I go for the hug, it was actually a seat filler. It was some guy, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so then I, you know, recoiled, went up the stage, and hugged Melissa, and she was great, and just this really tiny microphone was there, and I just couldn't believe it. It was just an amazing, amazing night, and Melissa was so sweet. Afterwards, we walked off the stage, and we were basically holding hands. We didn't know, nobody like told us where to go or anything like that. She's like, I don't know what to do next. I was like, I don't know what to do next. And we're just like two girlfriends just like walking around backstage. That was a wonderful moment.
Well, I've heard several people over the years say, talking about afterwards, you know, say as their category was coming up, the thought that went through their mind was, the only thing worse than losing tonight might be winning, and I have to go up those steps and make a speech.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I remember I was nominated 2 years before, and I remember looking at those stairs, those infamous stairs, and I had a sense of relief, like I'm not going to have to go up those stairs this year. And I think that was the year that Michael Spiller won, and there was just something inside that I knew that it wasn't going to go my way. But this last time, I was like, I don't know, for some reason I was like super nervous, and you know, and all of a sudden you see like the cameraman like come over close to get your close up, and it's like all these things start building and your heart starts fluttering, and my husband's holding my hand, and it really is like an amazing, amazing feeling, and I'm just so honored.
Well, let's see the Emmy. You were showing it to me earlier.
I was showing it to you. I show everybody. It's my Stanley Cup, and I'm going to show you the Emmy.
You don't mount it to the hood of your car, do you?
No, but that's a great idea. Maybe I'll do that. Here's the Emmy. You see it right here.
And you were telling me last night when we were getting all this technical stuff set up that they, unlike the old days, they actually put the engraving and all on the night of the ceremony.
Yeah. The banding. They have they do a banding. They have a banding table, and you can actually go over to the table and watch them band the award. But the coolest thing, what nobody knows about until that night, I didn't know about it, is like the Emmy. She comes with her own like Barbie box. And so if you want to travel with her, you can get this box. They hand you this box, and look at it in the right way. See? It has the cutout.
Oh, wow.
She fits right in there.
Well, that's good for travel then, isn't it?
One of the coolest things ever. It's all cool.
Well, all the people that live off, you know, let's say in New York or on the East Coast or overseas that win Emmys, they got to have some way to get those through security.
Gotta have the box, and you know the Academy is so thoughtful in thinking about having their own Barbie box for the Emmy. I think it's great.
When you got to the auditorium last year, what were your expectations? Did you feel like, hey, I got a shot here, or there's no way I'm going to win? I mean, where did you fall on that spectrum?
No, I mean, I really, you know, I was just in the moment, and it was a real special night because, you know, I was there with my husband and my two kids, JR and Jeremy, and JR's girlfriend, Michelle, and it was just, it was a family night, and we, on the way to the Nokia, we were listening to all sorts of music in the car, and we were just partying. It was like really, really fun. So we were just in the moment and having a family day.
And you saw, I'm sure, some of your Modern Family folks at the party afterwards. What did they say to you?
They were so nice. They're always so supportive, and I'm just so lucky to be able to work on that show and to be asked back, and to, you know, it's just, it really is a family over there, and they're just always so supportive. So.
And how soon after that? That was like late September. How soon after that were you on the set?
Oh, I think I was doing another series at the time. I was doing a show called Ground Floor for TBS. So I think that ended in October, and so I don't think I was at Modern Family until November. So it was
So a couple
all
of months later, did they make a big deal out of it when you showed up?
yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I think it was at the table read. And
Oh, good.
I remember sitting next to Sarah Hyland because Sarah was really, really prominent in that episode. And she did such a great job on the episode Arrested. And you know, we shared a moment at the table, and it was great. And so,
Well,
and
this
now it's
year's
Las Vegas.
I know this year's nomination is Las Vegas. I remember watching that episode as it aired. It finished, and I thought, in fact, I went back to see who had directed it and written it after it was over. I do that very rarely when I'm actually watching an episode, but I remember specifically thinking, okay, now whoever wrote this and directed this is probably going to be up for an Emmy this year because it's so good.
Oh,
Tell us just about the first time you saw that script.
well, okay, so it was written by Paul Corrigan, Brad Walsh, and Bill Rubel, and they worked so hard on this script with Chris Lloyd, of course, and the rest of the team, all those great writers at Modern Family who really are the best writers in town. And I remember Jeff Morton, who's the producer of the show, kind of pulled me aside. He said, "You know what? We have this Vegas episode coming up, and I wonder if you have any room in your schedule. Do you think you can do it? You know, it's kind of complicated. It's kind of a French farce kind of thing." And I said, "I'd love to do it, you know." So I'm really grateful for Jeff for thinking of me to put me on this episode because it really is. I mean, it's sometimes it's just the luck of the cards, you know, like which episode you get dealt. And I'm just so proud of this episode. And it I don't know, for those people who have seen it, it's designed to start kind of slow and steady, and then it builds to this great third act where it's like it's all this rapid fire dialogue and people coming in one door, going out the other, and it's about the three families in three adjoining suites in Las Vegas on the Excelsior level. And it was so complicated to kind of map it out and keep it straight that I actually color-coded my script with each person's room, with each couple. Like Phil and Claire were yellow. Every time I saw yellow, okay, that's their set. And then pink was Sophia's room, and orange was Mitch and Cam's room. And the hallway was a different room because part of it was shot in Vegas, but the other part of it was shot on stage. So we had to keep it really clear as to how it all came together. And at one point, I remember Eric Stonestreet said to me, he goes, at this point, it's all in the director's hands. It's in your hands, and we trust you. And he actually, and I was like, thank you. It was great. It was a great moment because it could have been really confusing, and it wasn't, and it was just great.
Well, we had Ty Burrell on with us last week talking about this episode, and we were talking about the fact, Frasier used to do a lot of these farce episodes, but Ty reminded us that they would be like on real sets,
Yes.
let's say like a cabin set or a hotel set where I remember one was in a kitchen, but you could see all the doors. You could see, it was almost like a play. Here, you didn't have that luxury.
That's right. That's right. And my hats off to Claire Bennett, who's our art director, I should say production designer, because we wanted that feel of it being like a play. I mean, if you could have done it live, I mean, it would have been great, but we came pretty damn close at the result. And I'm just, and of course, Ryan Case, who edited, was just amazing. So everybody, the entire cast and crew, everybody just pulled together for this one, as I do with all of them, but this one in particular is a very, very special episode. And we knew it was special when we were shooting it. You have that feeling,
Right. Well, you're also on location, and they do usually a vacation kind of an episode every year. This year they did too. So you're you're going on location at some point during the year. What are the challenges of that not being on your home base?
Well, I was lucky. I didn't have to go to Australia.
Right.
Steve Levitan directed that episode wonderfully. But we just went to Vegas, and I think going on location is really great for a crew and cast. I think it challenges everybody, every department, and you kind of step it up a notch, and it takes you out of your comfort zone, and it's challenging, and I think it's great. And I also love the authenticity of being on location. When you're shooting in a casino, like we were, it looks like a casino. You can't replicate that on a soundstage, and the long hallways of the hotels and stuff. So I think it was good. Plus, when we wrapped, we would all get together at a craps table and like hang out and bond. So that part of it was really cool.
On this particular one, like you say, it was so complicated. Was it a bigger challenge in the moment of shooting it, or when you got back to put it all together editing?
No, I think well, for me, it was the preparation, and I felt, having that preparation, working really diligently with the art department and the location, and also and the writers. We were, had a couple of tone meetings, make sure we were all on the same page, and so by the time you get to the location, we were set. We knew. And then I knew when we had our first scene with Stephen Merchant and Ty Burrell, when Stephen Merchant comes in the room as Higgins, the butler. We could have shot that scene all day. It was so funny, as such brilliant comedy writing and performances, and those two had such great chemistry. And I think just sitting by Video Village, and all of us were just like, wow. This is something special. This is a true comedy episode, and we really were in for something special. And the whole shoot was like that.
He was, to me, the unsung hero among the performers on that episode. His reaction shots were just. I was so hoping he would get into the guest actor race this year. But I'm wondering, but with him being a writer and a director himself, what did he think about this particular episode? What were his comments?
Oh, I know he was really psyched to do it. He says, he loved the part. He just dove right in and was open to anything. He would try stuff, and they'd audition stuff, and it was almost like he was working with us, for the whole season. I mean, it was magical. Same thing with Fred Armisen and Patton Oswalt, and the whole cast, our whole, this was just a really special episode. I hope everybody gets a chance to see it. I hope, because I'm just so proud of it.
Well, I've said several times on different editors slugfest that we do, so the people that watch those already know what I feel about that. That was my favorite episode of any show, comedy or drama, this past season.
Oh man, that's awesome! Thank you.
I've watched it, I think, 3 times now, which is, I'm not the kind of guy that watches things over and over, even movies. So that's saying something. But it is so complicated, and so I catch things each time I watch it that I didn't see before.
I love it. I love it. I do too, to be honest with you. I do too. I actually had to rewatch it a couple of weeks ago because I had let it sit there for a little bit, and I had to remind myself, and it just brought back such great memories, and everybody just, like I said before, the whole cast and crew just really stepped up like they always do.
Well, in looking through your bio, I think you've done 15 Modern Families. I hope you'll be back for some more this coming season.
Yeah, luckily they invited me back. I'm so happy about that. I'll do a couple more this year, I hope.
And what's that process like? Do you get to pick and choose episodes, or how do they let you know that they want you for a particular one?
No, that's pretty much arranged like in June and July. Like Jeff Morton, the producer, will sit and do a schedule, like which directors are available when, and then it's really up to the writers and how the writing room is going and what scripts are going to be ready. That's how that's decided.
And But so you don't have any choice at all. You're just called and say, hey, this is the idea for this script. Are you available? Would you like to do it?
No, yeah, I know. It's just like they call. They say, "Do you want to do an episode of Modern Family?" I've said, "Tell me what time to be there and when."
Okay. That one's an easy call at this stage.
That's the easy
How
answer.
much how much ahead before you actually let's say the day you show up to do the show, how much ahead of that do you get the script?
Usually, they'll start giving me outlines, about 10 days before, if not, so I kind of get an idea, and then we start talking about locations. And so, like the week before, like table reads are usually on a Wednesday, and that's, our start of the prep, and then we do location scouting and casting, and then the following week, we shoot for 5 days.
And we talked about Stephen Merchant. You mentioned Patton and Fred. Are you involved in picking the guest stars, or is that
Oh,
strictly the
yeah.
producers?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Me and the writer/writers of the episode sit through the casting session with Jeff, and and then then there's usually a discussion afterwards, obviously with Chris Lloyd and Steve Levitan, and decision is made.
Okay. Well, I looked through, you've done so many good shows. I didn't write them all down because there have been a lot of them. But if you just give me a quick thumbnail on some of the other ones you worked on, just a favorite moment or maybe the vibe that kind of set brought. And I'll start more recently and work my way back. 30 Rock, you did 8 episodes.
Wow, you're counting. I didn't realize. That's great. I did 8. I love that show. I loved working on that show.
Now that was a fast-paced show.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was fast-paced, editing-wise, and performance-wise too. It was a single-camera show again, and that was great because we were talking about shooting in Las Vegas and how that it's great to be on location. Well, New York is great to shoot there too. I mean, I used to love going there and shooting outside, and because the city has such a great vibe to it, and it's a character in itself. And of course, it was wonderful working with Tina Fey. Can't say enough nice things about her because she's just the whole 9 yards. Very talented.
Scrubs, you did 9 episodes.
Scrubs, 9 counting. Yes, I love Scrubs. Yes, that was great. That was kind of a break for me, a big break for me, because I've been doing a lot of multi-camera comedies, and Scrubs was my very first single-camera comedy, and then I went into Gilmore Girls, I think, after that. And then Scrubs, of course, has Bill Lawrence and Randall Winston, and we've remained friends, and I still do a lot of shows for them. So that was really fun.
That was one of those good walk and talk kind of comedies. Lots of hallway conversations, movement. Very rarely them just standing still.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was actually shot at this hospital in North Hollywood that had closed down. And I remember one time I was prepping a script to shoot, and one of the scenes took place in the morgue. So I had made arrangements. I said I wanted to walk through my shots over the weekend. So on Sunday, I went there. The guard let me in, and I actually went down to the morgue, the real morgue. And it was the freakiest thing. It was like people actually did die there, and I was like, okay, this place, this is too weird. So I got out and went for a walk and went home.
And now a location for comedy.
It was a great location, actually, but when you're with people, not when
Right,
you're
exactly. In the daytime.
Oh, the other thing about Scrubs is really cool, because I'm a dog person. I have 4 dogs. I can't believe they're not barking right now. Is that you could bring your dogs there. There are dogs all over the place. It was awesome. You could, shoot there and bring your dogs. It was really fun.
I have visited the set years ago of Gilmore Girls, and it's like a little town that you go visit.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore at Warner Brothers.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
They've changed it around a little bit. Yeah, that was a fun show, and that was, created by my friend Amy Sherman Palladino, and it was, our history is that my very first directorial debut was on Roseanne, directing her very first writing script for Roseanne. It was so we both, did that together, and we've remained friends ever since.
As you mentioned these shows, and we're going through them. I mean, what's great
Oh,
about so many of them is that they're in massive repeats. It's not like they got lost to history.
which is great. Yes, they're timeless. A lot of these shows are timeless, and it's just I'm so great to have been a part of it.
Friends, 14 episodes.
Wow, counting. Um, Friends, great. Loved it. That was a huge break in my career, and I'm still friends with many of the writers to this day. I just did a pilot with Greg Malins last season, and that was, another very special classic TV show.
I went to a taping one time, and before I got there, the person that set up the tickets warned me, said this is probably the longest taping
Yes.
of any comedy series because they make so many adjustments based on the crowd reaction. And we got there about 5, and we left at midnight, and I think they were maybe 3 or 4 scenes still to go.
Yeah, I mean, they would definitely order a meal for the audience. I mean, I remember they would order pizza, and then sometimes, I think in the earlier seasons, I could be wrong, but I thought they even had a second audience lined up. They would have people waiting outside because it couldn't have been the first season because they were.
Oh, I went in the 8th, and they still were doing that.
Yeah, and so that was pretty smart. As people were leaving, they'd load in more new people because it was such a hot show that everybody wanted to see it. So it was really smart.
And you did 51 episodes of Roseanne. I was just watching some reruns this weekend, and that set was notorious for, even things that got in the press, even in those days of things going on. Any trouble from your end?
I will say this. I don't know how, but I never got fired off that show. And usually getting fired off that show
that's one of the few.
So that was pretty good. And I actually just 2 years ago did a pilot with Roseanne and John Goodman. It didn't get picked up. But it was great to be back with them. And we were at the same studios where we used to shoot Roseanne. And it's amazing how many of the old crew came by, and the old cast. Sarah Gilbert stopped by, Michael Fishman. It was like old times. So it was really great to get together with everybody again.
Isn't John Goodman one of the most underrated actors ever?
I don't know.
Everything he's in, whether it's films or TV, he just always brings a unique energy, I think, to them.
Oh, he is such a professional. I hope he's not underrated. I think everybody respects him and acknowledges how wonderful he is as an actor. So and he's just great.
Well, he's one of those guys when he does so many films now. You look at the marquee or you see the trailer and it says John Goodman's in it, and you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be at least watchable.
Exactly. He definitely takes chances. I love it.
Well, what's next for you other than Modern Family? You said you'll be back at least a couple of times this season.
Yeah, I'm working on a few other shows. I'm going back to Ground Floor. I'm doing some other things at Fox, Fresh Off the Boat. I'm actually doing a couple of multi-camera stuff, Christella, and just trying to mix it up. And hopefully I'm looking at features. So
good.
And I feel like all these years in comedy, there's got to be a great comedy out there for me to direct, and I would love to try my hand at that, and I think that would be a lot of fun.
I know the other question I was going to ask you, and then we'll wrap up. Yeah. I think the best two, when you said multicam, it reminded me, the best 2 directors in the history of multicam comedy on TV are James Burrows and Jay Sandrich.
Yes.
Other than them, unless you want to talk about them, who do you admire? Who do you look up to as a director on TV?
On TV, oh my gosh, Leslie Linka Glatter, Beth McCarthy Miller. Harris Barkley. I mean, he does everything from Glee to Sons of Anarchy.
He's in your category this year.
I know. He's the president of our guild. I'm very happy for him, and everybody that's nominated in my category. You know, there's so many. It's interesting because directors, you know, we don't really get a chance to get to know each other because there's only one director per set, and so it's hard to build a relationship. But times like these, you know, where you get nominated, we usually like email each other and we see each other at events and stuff, and that's another great thing about being nominated for the Emmys.
I met James Burrows once. I was in the lobby of, I think the Directors Guild Awards were going on that night, and he walked by and I said hello, and somebody next to me said, "Who was that?" And I said, he was still like really close by. And I said, "That's James Burrows," and I listed off about 10 shows that he had directed, you know, Cheers and Taxi and Bob Newhart, and he could still hear me. He turned around, he was just nodding and smiling. So he's one of my favorites.
He's a great guy.
Thank you so much, Gail. Good luck. I think you might be walking up on that stage again. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Oh, you are so sweet. Thank you so much for having me on.